Hey everyone, Trevor at Top Loaded Gaming here. GameStop has pulled the trigger on expanding the rest of the consoles they had initially announced, including the Sega Saturn, the Game Boy Advance, the Game Boy Color, the GameCube, and the original Xbox. Now my main concern is what happens to the games and the gaming collectibles as a result. Let me pose a few scenarios, some of which I have already witnessed taking place. Let's say a customer comes in with a bunch of games for the NES, the SNES, and the Sega Genesis. Do you think this person went on the website beforehand and got the list of games that GameStop is currently buying and only brought those? Or did they just bring every single old game and gaming accessory they could find so they could get as much credit or cash as possible? Now, let's say this customer brings his entire childhood collection of games and they're all in really good condition. He took care of everything. Everything's complete in box games. So the employee goes through all the games, throwing out all the manuals, the original boxes, the posters, the inserts. He just fucking guts everything. And at the end, there's still quite a few games that GameStop isn't even buying. So the customer is going to say, and I see it happen all the fucking time, they'll tell the employee, I guess throw these away. Or maybe if you know somebody that wants them, because I have no fucking use for them. You cannot expect everyone that has leftover games will have an eBay account to sell them, or hold some garage sale just to sell a few games. So what happens is the employee throws these games in the trash. Or the employee starts his own scalping venture on eBay with all the fines he gets from GameStop. Now, I've only been dumpster diving for about a month. I haven't put out 3 videos about it yet, and I've already found Sega Genesis game boxes, the cardboard Majesco ones. I've also found plastic Genesis game boxes, as well as NES manuals, Nintendo 64 manuals. So take fucking note, GameStop, because you greedy corporate fucks don't want people to dig in your dumpsters, yet you are going to start dumping massive amounts of extremely rare and sought after collectibles? Yeah, good fucking luck getting people to stay out of your dumpsters. Can you even blame people at that point? Not to mention all the systems being thrown away that can either be fixed or parted out. Now, I had one instance where a contact of mine actually called me telling me that a guy went, traded in some games, and they had some left over that GameStop didn't buy. So I was able to save these games from the dumpster, and luckily too, because that's how I finally got a copy of Ninja Gaiden 3. But in most cases, no one's going to do that for you. And what happens if this venture fails and GameStop abandons it altogether? What happens to their stock? Does it just stay in some dank warehouse stuck in a sort of reseller limbo? Do they make their own ET landfill and throw them the fuck away? Do they sell the games and the systems off to someone who will try and corner the used game market and drive the fucking prices up even further? Here's another scenario. Let's say you've got 2 random people. They order the same NES game for the same price. Let's say DuckTales 2. One guy gets the cart with the original box and all the original inserts, while the other person just gets the cart. And on top of that, the end label's all fucked up and the cart's all yellowed. How is that going to work? Are you expected to pay the same for an incomplete game? Let's say you buy a Saturn game, or your disc's going to come with the original case and manual. You can barely be guaranteed an original case and artwork insert for a used Xbox One or PS4 game, let alone games from the 80s and 90s. I think this is going to be a sort of luck of the draw type thing, where some people may get lucky while others get fucked. And is GameStop going to get into selling the original boxes for like the NES SNES, N64, all the cardboard boxes that are more rare? Are they going to make a market for that? Are they going to be prepared for the onslaught of fake boxes that will ensue as a result? Will customers be able to tell if they were just ripped off? Will GameStop employees be able to differentiate? We already have examples of customers getting fake games. Then, there was the report of the guy getting a Sega Model 1 Genesis that was all fucked up. And what fucked my head up on that story was not the fact that the console was all broken and fucked up. I think that shit was going to happen no matter what. But the level of incompetence by the refurb factory workers putting a void warranty sticker over the goddamn expansion port. The port is needed to connect the Sega CD, you fucking asshats. Now how can you trust GameStop as the place to get your used games when they don't even know things like this? Do you really think after hearing that story, GameStop employees will be able to tell the difference between a reproduction cart and the real thing if the refurb technicians can't even be bothered to know anything about the consoles? And will the everyday employee even take the time to look? Consider what happened with D-Dave. GameStop literally bought games back from their own dumpster. You can call the guys dicks or trolls, but I think it's actually GameStop that looks bad in that story. D and Dave, they're just trying to operate a channel, same as anyone else here. Now what I want to know from you is, what do you think about GameStop's retro venture? Have you bought any retro games yet? How was the overall experience? Well, that's going to do it for me, YouTube. This is Trevor over at Top Loaded Gaming saying, fuck action figures that won't stay standing.